Welcome to Straight Outta Weston, Weston-super-Mare's #1 podcast. I've got to say a massive thank you to these local businesses who help this podcast. Without their support, I wouldn't be able to do this. So, massive thank you to these local businesses. We have got some guests who I met last year and I've been looking forward to having a good chat with them in the studio. We've got two members of the Holmsgard, Viking Reenactment. This is where this comes in. But here they are. The attire you've got on at the minute, but that's not your everyday dress.
This would be the kind of basically my battle wear or my armour, what I would wear when I would be going to war or basically, yes, into war. I probably would be, a major conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've done my armour and my helmet,
And Arron, is that like an everyday
So
Viking?
this is an everyday summer wear. So typically during the summer we would wear more linen type apparel.
Yeah.
Winter we would wear more woolen, if not for battle wear, for winter attire.
Yeah. So Holmsgard. I am pronouncing it right, aren't I? So I got a bit of a lesson this morning, and so I'm making sure I pronounce it right because I always get told off for pronouncing things wrong. But so obviously you guys do reenactments. Yeah. Where did this all come from?
So I started about 13 years ago when I was living in Kent. I got involved with a local reenactment group there, and they told me that they were part of a nationwide society called the Vikings, or the Vikings Reenactment Society. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on the internet.
We will put links in the descriptions of this podcast as well to these to the group for these guys. Sorry for putting you off there.
I got involved, as I said, about 13 years ago with a local reenactment group. At the time, we were based in Essex. Our group was based in Essex. Half of us were in Kent. When I moved out here to sunny Somerset, I thought to myself, there's already a couple of reenactment groups local in adjoining counties. So sort of southern Somerset. There is one in South Wales. There is one in Wiltshire. But I thought to myself, they're all mainly Welsh and Anglo-Saxon.
Right.
So I thought, would it be an idea to bring a Viking group?
So it's like a
Viking heritage and history from the British Isles.
So it's almost like a gap in the market kind of thing. It was like, there's this time here what's not getting represented. So you guys stepped in.
So, I met my friends here when I was part of another reenactment group, local here in Somerset. I thought to myself, this could work. Yeah, really bring not just sort of the Viking history and all, but bring the society furthermore into the country. Expand it more. And of course, that's when I met my friend Sean here, and of course that's when we came up with the idea of starting Holmsgard.
It's also because of the fact, because obviously it's, I think Weston, apart from, there's a lot of stuff going on in Weston that could have a presence. I mean, it's, we have the history weeks at the library, and there's a lot sort of going on. And a lot of people don't know that actually this part of the world does have sort of links to the Viking Age.
Yeah. So. That's crazy, that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about the library and they have events. What kind of events do you guys get involved with?
Usually they have a thing called like a history week where they basically will have I think anything from Romans to obviously us guys. I think, and then you go to Second World War. I don't know. It varies. The Saxons, and they thing. And usually, what we kind of would do, we would put on what is known as a living history display, where we would have people doing tasks and day-to-day things that they would have done during the Viking Age, like tie-dyeing, making food, wood crafts, smithing, all various things. People walk around in armours, interacting with the members of the public, and lots of questions, and basically educating people a lot about stuff that is generally but the information they've only kind of got from is the public media, which sort of most of the time is actually wrong or incorrect. So
yeah. So you talked about like educating people. What is, I suppose, the best thing you like to bust about myths about Vikings?
So that would, my favourite thing to bust is the classics. Horned helmets. They did not have them. It is completely and totally impractical. It was actually a Victorian invention by the Italians.
Really?
So it was an opera. They wanted to portray these Vikings as devil worshippers, and of course the devil having his horns in classic mythology and Christian mythology. They really wanted to portray him as these Satanists, devil worshippers, heathens.
Yeah.
So what better way to represent the devil than having horns?
Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't
So
it?
it was a complete myth that was unfortunately just expanded upon, reinforced,
stuck,
and
really, isn't it?
twisted and mutilated beyond its original.
In the reenactment events you go to, have you seen people who are dressed up and they've got the horned helmets on?
Yes. Yes, I've seen many members of the public with their horned helmets. And
I'm a Viking too. Look,
Yeah.
I've got horns.
and the educator in me just has to come out and say, no, totally wrong.
and obviously when sort of bless them, kind of obviously with some degree of belonging is where they've had a few hits on ancestry.com that they're actually says they are actually a Viking.
Yeah, because Viking's not like a nationality.
No, it's basically it's an activity that you would take part in, as in Viking, as in to raid.
Oh, like similar to like pirate.
Yeah.
That,
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So it's the correct terminology would be a Norseman or a Dane, a Viking,
Right.
a raiding. So
So when you guys are doing your reenactments, can you tell us like a typical, like what you get up to on a typical day of a reenactment?
is that when the public's there or when they're not there?
Actually, let's do the whole thing when they're not there.
When they're not there, well, basically, usually a day or the night before we would come and set up, and so we're all good to go, ready for the following day, because most shows tend to start maybe about sort of 8-9 o'clock. That's when the public. So there's a thing that we call it's called going live, is when basically anything modern or unauthentic is hidden.
Nice.
Out of sight.
Yeah.
So basically, camp then becomes 100% authentic.
Oh, nice.
So even down to basically modern talk, no phones, and it's completely what terms we are representing the 8th, 9th century.
I've just got to tell people who are watching this podcast that because these guys carry weapons, like these aren't like plastic axes and swords, we had to notify the police, and these guys had to say, tell them what they were bringing to the studio. So then if anyone reports these two crazy Vikings running around Weston, wielding swords and shields, that it's fine. They are covered. And I thought that was quite an interesting fact, because I never would have thought, you'd have to do that. But when you think about it, they are proper weapons.
Yes.
They're not toys that like you could do
The
some damage.
only difference between this and basically, I'd say it's sort of 8th, 9th century thing is basically obviously it's construction, modern construction. The fact that it's actually steel and it's not sharp.
Yeah, blunt as they may be.
Yeah.
You swing an axe at someone, even a blunt instrument, it can still do some incredible damage.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily the fact that it's got a sharp head on it. It's actually all the inertia and the force that travels down the thing when you actually blow.
Yeah.
Because most of the damage inflicted by an axe would actually be blunt force trauma.
Right.
So,
Okay.
it's quite a series of training to be able to use one of these safely during a reenactment event. Because if you get it wrong, you can basically name or possibly even kill somebody.
Yeah. And Arron, I'm glad you've got your sword tied up in the
Yes.
piece.
Yes,
Is it the
peace
one?
tie.
Peace tie, that was it.
So it symbolises I'm not here for violence. I'm not here on behalf for warfare.
Yeah, I'm glad about
I
that.
am here for peace. I'm here to negotiate, to talk. So for all your viewers out there,
they haven't come to pillage the studio, thank goodness.
And I'm here if things go south.
But it's little facts like that what are fascinating, and it's like I didn't know that tying the sword like that meant that, because you can't draw it out quickly, and
so no matter how hard I pull,
that's crazy. So you guys are based in Weston. What kind of community events do you get involved with?
So last year we got involved with Stars of Time. We had a fantastic day out there. Got many interested.
Trolling the Daleks, which was so fun.
It's such a great event. I absolutely love it. And I met you guys down there last year. But it's funny because you've got like, I think, I remember at the front of the Winter Gardens there was like Vikings, and then there was like a couple of Daleks knocking around, some Jedi, a Wookiee, and it was like
a friend. The standoff between the Daleks and the Stormtroopers.
It's just such
one of my favourite moments of the day.
And I'm just with the Daleks going, now as puny Vikings we have pews. Not if I knock it off with this, you haven't.
Oh yeah, true.
And they got stuck on the stairs, didn't they?
They did.
I was going, call yourself the master race, you can't even go up
You can't
ramps.
even go upstairs. Are you going again this year?
Yes.
We are.
Awesome.
We're planning for both the summer event and the winter event.
Yeah, I'm going because I think it's great, and it'll be good to see you guys there. And I'm looking forward to that. So if anybody is watching this podcast and they think, this is such an interesting thing, and how do they get involved?
So contact us on our Facebook page, Holmsgard Dark Age Reenactment. Check the link of the email.
Yeah.
Ping us a message. See where we go from there.
And we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So
yeah. And for anyone interested in joining, is it an expensive hobby?
So it's really only as expensive as you make it. I've known people since the inception of our society, since 1971. They have stayed at the lowest social ranks there is. I have seen people wear the same tatty old clothing they've worn since the 90s.
Yeah.
For a basic set of kit market, you're looking probably about £200. But with proper maintenance and care, this tunic has lasted me 10 years.
All right, so it's not something like you pay that money and it's going to last you.
It's going to last you a year, right? Dispose and discard. No, so some of this kit has lasted me 10 years.
it depends on obviously on your outlay. Is a case of obviously, I mean, this is kit that I've accumulated over 7 years, 7-8 years. So and it's basically, but it goes through a process of evolution anyway.
Yeah.
Because you start off with your very basic helm, and then basically most societies operate kind of a ranking system. So as you go through your rank, your kit can become more and more elaborate.
Yeah.
And obviously not every Viking warrior would have been wearing mail.
Yeah.
So. No, of course. And when we was discussing starting this group, we decided perhaps it would be better to implement a group ranking system. As Sean says, some groups, some societies, they operate with, some operate without. But obviously in today's economy, money's tight for everyone these days. So we decided, well, maybe it is best we bring a rank system in, start off with the basic kit, and it gives you something to work towards.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
It gives you something to aspire to.
Yeah. Rather than jumping in and spending loads of money and walking around like is it a king of Vikings? Is it
a Jarl or a Konunga, which is the Norse word for king.
Oh, okay.
I've seen people spend hundreds, thousands on kit, and often at times they buy completely the wrong thing. And it's a little joke we often say. Yeah, it's very nice kit, looks really pretty and all. Chuck it in the bin on your way out. So, of course, group-wise we do, and society, we do have authenticity officers, so those who have studied all the various archaeological finds, the history, what is authentic, what's not authentic. And it's more to help people rather than simply bully. Say, oh, I'm a higher rank than you.
Yeah.
You do what I say. It's just a way to not only help you understand and learn, but it gives you something to aspire to.
Yeah.
You know, no one that does this hobby goes from a fresh new man, woman on the field to
fully
kitted, fully armoured.
I absolutely love that helmet. It's brilliant.
And you notice no horns.
No, I was going to say, just mentioning horns, do you drink out of horns?
So horns, they're not so much as the modern Viking believes, they're drinking out of horns every day.
Yeah.
There's been numerous finds on archaeological sites of clay beakers. Those were more of a everyday drinking vessel. The horns from our sagas, it seems more of a ceremonial item, something to cherish, to pass around communities, like weddings and the like.
Right. Okay.
Something it's sort of communal drinking vessel
rather
than a personal.
Yeah. I mean, there was obviously of basic kind of water bladders or water bottles, for want of a better word. So, which obviously, you'd be carrying with your water in, so drink.
Because that's always been a thing. I always think they've got these big horns and they're constant.
Yeah, that's another myth.
Constant thing.
That is another myth. Everyone seems to think that Vikings were drinking out of horns every day of the week.
Yeah.
But no, it's either water skins or even clay water bottles have actually been found now.
Really?
With a recent find in Thetford, East Anglia.
Wow.
A recent archaeological dig uncovered a clay water bottle, and that's taken the reenactment world by storm.
So, is there much Viking history in Weston?
First, obviously, going back to the 8th, 9th century, there is more later on. It's the fact of there being a Saxon outpost in Whirlbury up on the hill. Other than that, I've not been able to find much more during, obviously, what was known as the Viking Age. There's the island of Flatholm in the Channel, where I believe a Viking force did settle on for a small while.
Wow.
While facing defeat down in Watchet.
Yeah. So there used to be Vikings living on the island.
Yeah.
Yes.
They settled on there to basically lick their wounds, and I'm not entirely sure whether they went back or not, or just decided to go home. But
From its history of the island, it seems more likely of a temporary sort of raiding camp, a staging post, if you will, rather than an actual permanent settlement.
Yeah, because it'd be a great spot because you could go either way over the channel.
Yeah, you could sail up the channel itself into Gloucester.
Yeah.
You could go here to Weston. You could follow along the Somerset coast and into Cornwall, as well as South Wales and all along the coast of Wales along the Irish Sea. And of course, you could even stage raids to southwest Ireland.
Oh wow! I wonder if anyone who lived at Uphill, say, was back in the day, tending to their animals or something, and then they look out into the channel, you're like, oh, it's a little boat. There's boats coming over. And
they would have seen obviously a longship sailing up and down the channel. So
that's crazy.
Especially this far south. By the time of the Viking raids with the sons of Ragnar, so Ivar the Boneless, Björn Ironside, this far south into the Kingdom of Wessex, if they saw Viking longships and sails on the horizon, it's not a good thing.
No. Because they're coming and they're going to take some stuff and then they're going to sneak back to the islands. And
you can just imagine, today, those on the south coast, little boats crossing. You can see French ships on the horizon. All what the frog's up to.
Oh, that's correct.
You would also have to remember as well that the Norse and the Danes did actually trade with England at the time.
Oh, okay.
As well as traders and merchants. So it is only obviously later towards from. The raids that happened up north is when basically the North started coming over here to raid.
All right, so some of them could have been on the islands then. Yeah. Oh, we need some eggs and milk or something. Let's pop over and see what we can grab.
We know there's quite a lot of wealth in that isolated church up on the hill there. So,
and of course that's another misconception. A lot of people believe that the Viking Age started because it was simple need to raid. It was almost a cultural thing. Scandinavia 1,000 years ago, it was harsh terrain.
Yeah.
To farm it's so sandy. You got mountains, very little farming land. So of course, food was scarce. So that was really sort of the first incident. It wasn't so much a raid to plunder and gain treasure and wealth. It was a search for food.
In the hard times. So it's
in the hard times. I mean, all along Denmark. I mean, with its technological marvels today, here in the 21st century, 1,000 years ago, Denmark's farmland, it was sandy. Denmark is a very sandy country.
Am I right in saying as well that the quality of the iron ore over here was actually better than...
It was better.
Yeah.
English iron was far superior to Scandinavian.
Yeah, so it's not like they woke up one morning and go, actually, we've got it quite easy here. Let's go and raid other places. It was because necessity, I suppose, and survival.
Yeah. It was. As I say, by the time you look through history, the Romans have marched across Europe. They've pushed various tribes back across the Rhine into what's now Germany today. You're compressing all these tribes, all these people into one. Okay, there's going to be little tribal conflicts because they weren't feudal like we have today, where we have established laws. They were still very much the Vikings were very much a tribal society. They weren't unified in one common cause. Even Norway. Yeah, Norway was not unified until the 10th century with Harold Finehair.
Really?
You can imagine, because most crews of the longships would be actually village men.
Right, okay.
Or obviously of their warrior,
their
warriors that were available to sail on the ship. They would have known each other quite well.
It's crazy, the history we have in Western and like what is on our shores, and we've got these little islands out there, and it's just crazy that at one point it was these Vikings, like you said, not living on there but using it as a bit of a base to do what they needed to do.
I quite often go for walks up on Sand Point and actually sit up on the hill and just think just imagine what it'd been like would have just seen longships sailing up and down the channel.
Yeah, honestly, this has been fantastic. It's been great speaking to you guys. So being a Viking, what is your favourite thing about being a Viking? So Sean, I'll start with you first.
Basically, my favourite thing is basically educating people and basically and interacting with the public.
Yeah.
It's quite often at camp, I will go off on what I like to call guard duty, or stay on camp and basically interact with people. I don't like to be too static during an event. I like to walk around and mingle and see people. Because sometimes the public will not even know that your camp is set up there in the corner, and might miss you, and they go, "Oh, we're really interested in Vikings. We didn't know you were here." But and then basically interacting and having that interaction, and kind of. I think one of my favourite moments ever was I was at the Glastonbury Medieval Fair, and basically as I was walking past, just walking around in gear, kind of walking about, there was a family that were looking at what was on.
Yeah.
And there was some children of the family were looking at the wall going, "Oh look, there's Vikings!" And of course at that point I was, I kind of walked over pretty much, and kind of got down on my knee behind them and went, "Is there Vikings?"
What?
And the look on their face was like,
that's brilliant.
Obviously the parents had clocked me beforehand, and then basically kind of obviously in the good humour that it was, they went, "Look, there's one there."
That's brilliant. Yeah. Arron, what's your favourite thing?
It's got to be the fights.
Yeah.
I live for the fights. I'm a warrior at heart. I love just getting in deep and dirty and having a bloody good scrap.
Yeah. Getting your sword out and giving it a swing about and untying it so it's not peaceful time.
No, so when I go to war...
Yeah, I must admit I'm quite fond of the combat. I mean, it's as I'm getting on a bit, I'm kind of probably be cutting back on that a little bit than I usually did, but I'm still like into the combat. I actually just like having that sort of one-on-one with somebody.
Yeah,
and and basically kind of doing it for the audience. I think one of my my second favourite things that ever has happened at the show was basically we used to do an event at Temple Coon, which is now ended. They don't do that anymore. Basically, where we basically it was like a mixed period event. So we were fighting against people in plate armor.
Oh, okay.
So we call clankies because they clank when they walk. So basically, I was up against one of those guys with this thing, and basically, I'd won the skirmish. So he was down on the ground and basically feigning to be in pain but not quite dead. And at that point, from the crowd line, I heard a group of children, actually there was his mother and father as well, going, kill him, kill him, kill him. And of course, it's like all reenactors, there's that element of drama, there's that pantomime. I basically gave this guy on the ground who was rolling around going, ugh, basically, to give him the heads up, I'm going to hit him quite hard.
Yeah.
Because I know that he's really armoured.
Yeah.
So it's going to make a nice clang noise. So basically, I hit him as many times until he decided he was going to die. And I remember this family were going absolutely berserk on the ground line. It was incredible.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming on. I have got something for you guys. So we've got you a Straight Outta Weston bag. And in the bag, we have got obviously some white shades. Vikings are right to wear.
I'm sure, If they had them, they would have worn them.
Exactly. Of course, they're not going to say no to that. And we've also got your Straight Outta Weston keyring as well. Yeah. But, pass these over.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Might be something to put me swag in.
That's it. A swag bag. A swag bag. But it's been really interesting. And like I said, we will put links in the description. So if people want to join you guys, we can do that. Yeah. Aaron, I believe it's your birthday today.
It is.
Well, we've got a bit of not a surprise. Well, yeah, a surprise. We've got a surprise. We're going to go to Activity Dome. And because you guys like axes, we're going to go and do some axe throwing.
Oh,
are you up for that?
Yeah.
Right then, let's do it.
I guess that's static targets.
Should we do a competition? Who gets bullseye first?
Yeah.
Are you up for that?
Oh, yeah, okay. Yes.
I'm trying to think of we've got a prize. We'll think of a prize anyway, but keep watching and we'll see you at Activity Dome. We're at Activity Dome and I'm back with the Vikings and we are going to throw some axes. We are going to... I like that. We managed to find a prize, so we're going to throw axe one each. First one to get bullseye wins this packet of sour sweets. Any what, sorry?
Mead.
Mead? What's mead?
Mead, honey wine. Nectar of the gods.
Is it alcoholic?
Yes.
Yes, very.
I'll see if Activity Dome have got some. So let's get throwing some axes and see who can get the bullseye first. We've got another prize. Since we talked about alcohol, Activity Domes give us the Thatchers. So this is going to be a prize as well. Right, who's going to go first? You go first. Close. Let's show these Vikings how it's done.
Saxons.
Oh, you're the first one in the board. Oh, that is going in. It's like anything, you always need a couple of practice throws first and then fingers crossed.
That was coming back.
That's it. He's got it. He's got it. That is definitely.
Yeah.
Well done.
Oh my God, there's no dispute.
Well done. You can't argue against that. We've got the sour sweets and the Thatchers. And it's Aaron's birthday today, so but well done.
Yeah, that's why I let him win.
Yeah, that's it. I let him win as well.
Yeah, they let me win.
Yeah.
They let me win. But anyway.
Odin!
So we've worked up a bit of an appetite throwing the axes. So Activity Dome do a mac and cheese. Yeah. So these Vikings are going to tuck into the mac and cheese. But it's been fantastic speaking to these guys. Really enjoyed it. Thank you to Activity Dome for letting us throw some axes and also feeding us as well. Really appreciate it. And make sure you watch, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys. See you later. Bye.
Straight out of Weston, shout to the town. Weston-super-Mare, where we hold you down. High energy vibes, we wearing the crown. Podcast kings, no need to frown. Weston-super-Mare, dropping gems, no frontin'.